All right, we're recording. Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We're doing things a little bit differently this month, and we're showing some pre-recorded conversations. And today I have the amazing Megan Reilly. I'm so excited to have her on. She has been a mompreneur for a while, but she's been a business owner for 21 years. Yeah. So she started when she was practically in the womb.
Yes, that's right.
Audience, I'm joking. So thank you for tuning into Nap Time. And we're excited to talk all things business with Megan. So let's kick it off because we don't know when our kids will wake up, right?
Totally.
So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. I'm super pumped to be here. I love the premise of this show. It is so smart because I feel like we're all trying to do things in little pockets of our life. And so we're running businesses during nap time. And I think it's awesome. So my name is Megan Reilly. As you said, I am the co-owner of Tippi Toes Dance Company, which started when my older sister, I am in business with Sarah Noose, and she started it when she was a sophomore in college. And at the time I was in high school, and it was really for Sarah just a way to make ends meet. And she was what Tippi Toes is, we go into daycares and preschools and offer really fun, awesome, positive dance classes for kids. That's morphed into more, as you can imagine, over the years, but that's how it started. And so Sarah was a sophomore in college and going to daycares to make a car payment. And by the time she graduated, she was able to continue going full time with Tippi Toes. And I'm 3 years younger. So when I came to college as a freshman, she was a senior. We were going to the University of Oklahoma, and I started teaching as soon as I got to school there, and it was awesome, and I loved it, and it was fun. I ended up transferring to Oklahoma State and was able to start Tippi Toes there. And so really, that's how it started. Since then, we have moved into franchising. So we've got 35 franchises around the country. We've recently gone international with our franchising, which is exciting. And so that's my main business. I'm getting ready to start a podcast called Who Is Your Mama, which I'm really excited about. And so that I've got 3 kids, 3, 5, and 7. And I'm married to my best friend, who's an awesome dad. And so that's me in a nutshell. And at any moment, a child could come in, even though I'm actually in a closet in the guest room in my house, which has been turned into my podcast studio. But at any moment, I still have 2 doors separating me, but that doesn't stop little ones from coming in when they need me to wipe them or give them water or something. It's the truth.
That is an incredible story. And that is why I'm so excited to have you on, because statistically speaking, the women who own businesses, 88% make less than 100,000 gross revenue a year, right? Mm-hmm. And so it is awesome to have you on because your vision for your company is huge, right? You were able to franchise, now you're global. And this is an incredible thing to let the audience know that, hey, you can grow your business as big as you want, as big as your vision can be. Right? And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a solopreneur. You can build a team, right? So at what point did you realize, hey, I want to make this bigger? I started in high school. Now I want to consider franchising. How did you get from that high school business to a franchise?
Well, a couple things is one, we knew when we were younger, our friends, so I'm in my early 20s and I have my own business, and my friends were like, oh, that's so cool. That's so lucky. Or I'd be going to get my hair done at Tuesday at 1, and they'd be like, oh, I can't get off work to do it. That's so fun. So that was interesting to people. And then also our work of when Sarah and I would go in and teach dance to kids, it resonated so much with these families and the kids. And we discovered how powerful it was to be welcomed into young families' lives through our dance classes. And we just wanted to keep doing that. We wanted to serve more people, but we could only serve so many people, So we started by having managers in different cities where we weren't, and having staff and figuring out how that worked. But the truth is franchising really started out of a terrible failure. We still do want to be the next Barney. We want to have a TV show. We want to take over the world with positive, fun dance classes, and we've got characters and things like that. So we have all these visions. So we wanted to get a TV show. We were working with some animators in LA. We went out to LA with a couple mentors, my sister and I and our husbands. And then a couple of our mentors met us out there to meet with these animators. And it was a disaster. It was terrible. It was a terrible fit. It was not good. It was going to be so much money, and there were no promises. And it would have been a terrible business move. So we're sitting there after, we're like, this is terrible. This is not what we thought it was going to be. This is not at all what we want. And our mentors were there and they're like, have you guys thought about franchising? And we kind of looked at each other and we're like, not really, no, we hadn't. And so then we came back from that. And that was in November of 2007. I had just gotten married in November of 2007. We went to LA a couple weeks after I got married for this meeting. And then, we studied and we learned a little bit. I bought Franchising for Dummies, the book, read it cover to cover, and was like, all right, this is what I do. Let me start reading the book and then just figuring it out. We found a consultant and we spent a year preparing. And then we had our first franchise sold in 2009. And we spent a 1 year with her before we kind of decided to continue making sure we got a lot of the kinks and things out. Although those continue to come and we continue to get them out. So that's how we discovered franchising. It was really out of failure, but also out of wanting to reach more people than we knew we were capable of doing ourselves.
Right. Oh, I love that story. There's so many nuggets to unpack in there, and I'm just going to lay them out for the audience in case they need some of that, in case they might have been distracted by me rocking back and forth because I added a little one to my back. But
that's awesome.
So first is you had a mentor, and that's critical, right? So many women start a business in a silo. I'm going to do XYZ and I'm just going to go for it. And that's fantastic. But in order to have that greater vision like you had, it behooves us to go to an expert or someone who's been there, right? And offer guidance along the way.
Let me just add one thing to that. These days, it doesn't have to be somebody that you know and can go have coffee with. Sarah Blakely is one of my favorite people on the planet, and she is a mentor to me. Whether she knows it or not, she is. I watch her, I listen to her, I study what she talks about, and I see what she does. I study what she actually executes on. And so I don't want ever, there was a time when I was like, I live in Oklahoma. No, nothing matters. If you have Wi-Fi, then you can be mentored by anybody in the world. As long as you put get yourself there, get yourself in there, so you are listening to them. Sorry. That was, see how I just kind of go, but that's important, I think.
Perfect. That's perfect. Because you're right. That the old school method is, hey, go find that mentor, get on their calendar, offer something. And you're right. You're right. People that are dropping great nuggets of knowledge, you can listen on their podcast, right?
Totally. It's true. You're right. Yes.
The other thing I wanted to highlight was that you hired a consultant. You said, hey, this might be outside of my realm of expertise. Why don't I hire someone to make sure I do it right? And then the other thing you did was you scaled, you took your time scaling, right? You just say, okay, we hired this consultant. We do a year of work. Now let's invite like 10 people to franchise day one, right? You took your time. You had one franchisee. You worked out the kinks and said, okay, let's go to market and get some more folks. So that is such a fantastic route. And I am so happy that you guys have seen the growth that you've experienced.
Thank you.
You mentioned earlier that you are a mom of 3.
Yes.
And I hold moms of 3 on a pedestal, and that you guys have to be masters of the universe when it comes to organization.
Something, master of something, I don't know.
So I want to know, and I'm sure a lot of other folks want to know, how do you balance growing a huge business and being present for kiddos?
No problem. It's hard. I mean, it's a challenge, and I think that's we talk about balance, and it's really like there's pockets. So it's never like, oh, I'm doing this perfectly, I'm running my business and I'm being the best mom at the same time. That doesn't exist. You can't do that. You really can't. And so, I think you have to be honest with your situation and all the circumstances. And we know as moms, like it varies so much from family to family and home to home and support to support. Like it comes back to so much to the support that you have, the age of your children, their health, all of those things. So, I just try my hardest, and I try my hardest every day. And some days I kill it and I crush it. And I'm like, this is awesome. I had a great morning of work and I got to take my kids someplace in the afternoon, and I just balanced the daylights out of this day. And other days I'm like, thank goodness my husband's home, because I was working and I was up in my closet for, 6 hours. So that's just true. And then some days I don't get to my work because somebody gets a fever, and that's my priority, is taking care of my kids. And then I have to know that the consequence of that might be my work being slower than I wanted, or me not getting the meeting in that I wanted to get in this week or whatever. So I feel like one thing is to just, I would say everybody's a work in progress if you're a working mom, unless you have an unlimited, resources and everything. But like, even if you do have unlimited resources and everybody, you've got nannies and cooks and, everything helping you, it's still about being present in those two things. And all the help in the world doesn't mean that you're present. It might mean you get stuff done, but that doesn't mean you're present. So I think, it's a constant bob and weave. It's a constant evolution. And, it used to be that I worked just during nap times. Well, then my youngest in September started going to school 5 days a week, preschool, from 9 to 2, I think. I don't even remember. It's been so long. And so then all of a sudden I had 5 days a week where I had 5-hour window uninterrupted. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is life-changing. This is crazy. And then what I could do is I switched my schedule. So then once I started pickup duty, I was kind of off. I was mom, but that changed all the way through. When you're nursing and you've got 5 naps in a day, that's not an option. And so you just have to, I feel like in one way, be honest with where you are and embrace it and do the best you can and try the next day. If today sucked, wake up and try tomorrow, and just keep trying it the best you can. And just know nobody has it figured out. Nobody, they can say they do, but they don't. Nobody does. We're just dealing with it or trying.
I would add to give yourself grace too, right? Totally. I grew up Catholic. So I have guilt about everything. I think that's part of the religion's culture, is to give you guilt, right? So
yes, I'm familiar. I'm the same way.
So to be able to say, look, my children know that I love them. And, as long as I keep putting one foot forward with that work, it'll get done. Right. And I like how you said that when you were, when your kids were young, you worked during nap time. You didn't try to push it through while they were awake. Right. So, you, like you said, we do the best we can with the time that we have. Right. So taking a step backwards, or in a different direction, how has this pandemic impacted your business?
Significantly. It's been a huge thing. I mean, we go into schools and offer dance classes on site. Many of our franchise owners have studios. And so, I mean, it changed our business completely. So I was actually visiting my sister, my business partner, Sarah, just on her spring break. And it was when the bottom fell out, when the NBA came on and was like, we're going to cancel the season. Sarah and I were sitting at a desk next to each other. Her husband said, NBA just canceled their season. And we were like, okay, it's time to figure out what we're going to do, because this is going to be big. And and then 2 days later we were in the studio and we moved virtual. So now we offer dance classes, positive, fun, kid-friendly dance classes. We switched everything over to virtual. So now all of our customers. So for our thing, our franchise owners are our customers. So we wanted to make sure we were serving them still. So the whole point of us doing the virtual was that they could still serve their customers and create a revenue and have something coming in. The beauty of it was that also allowed us to reach a lot more people. And so, we have 35 franchises, but there's a lot, that means there's a lot of people we're not serving through our franchises. And the virtual dance classes have allowed us to serve people in Canada and people in, Oregon and places where, all the places that we aren't currently in. So that's been great. But I mean, it was a complete shift. It was a complete and total shift. And our income is not at all what it normally is. But you know what? We're healthy and we're figuring it out. And we're still serving our customers, which is our first care in the world. We're still serving our franchise owners. We're writing music. We have a Christmas album or winter album that's going to be coming out. So we're still moving forward. We're just doing the best we can and knowing that we're going to weather the storm. I was talking to somebody, I'm like, it's like riding a bull. We're like bull riding right now. And we just got to make it the 8 seconds. We just got to hang on. We're going to get thrown around right now, but hang on, we're going to make it through. And, we'll get our 8 seconds in. So, God, I wish it felt like 8 seconds instead of 8 years, but here we are. So it's been a huge shift, but thank goodness for technology. We've been able to make it work and still serve the people that we love, which is our dancers, our parents, our schools, and our franchise owners. Right.
And, it's ultimately a great news story because you were able to make that shift to online expeditiously. I mean, that sounds like you made that shift for 35 franchise owners within a couple of weeks. That's amazing. How did that get done? Because I'm technologically challenged, right? I've mentioned that before. And so the idea of getting 35 businesses aligned within a couple of weeks it's just mind blowing to me.
Well, it's funny when you say that. It's like, well, we just did the next most important thing. At every turn, it was like, we weren't thinking about, I never thought, it's honestly, Chandra, that's the first time I've thought about wow, I guess we did help shift 35 businesses but I never thought of the big picture. I thought of what do I have to do right now to improve, to fix this, to address this, to serve our customers still. So it was always, I kind of focused in on, and obviously with the pandemic, it's like there's so many unanswered, there were no answers to anything. And there still really aren't, when are we going to be back? I don't know. When is anybody going to be back? It's different city to city, state to state. So back to, we sought out experts. We were able to take a lot of what we had created. So when you buy a Tippi Toes franchise, you get every one of our dances videoed, you get it all written out, all the content is there. So we have a ton of videos already. Now we had to do intros and we had to interact with kids in a different way. So those are the things we had to go into the studio 2 days later so we could fill in and create this class. So, we had thought someday that we would do virtual classes, but wasn't really sure how that would look. It wasn't on the year plan. It wasn't on I don't even think 2-year plan. This pushed us into it in a matter of days. And so we were able to take a lot of the pieces we had and then, do what we felt like was going to be the best thing, which was get into the studio, get some intros, interact with kids, figure out how to do that. Or interact with the kids through the screen, I mean. And then, we had experts. So we had, the videographer there that was there helping us was able to get it done. We worked with our virtual classes are on a platform called Kajabi. And I was on there late at night trying to figure out answers. And he was like, you know what? I think we need to talk, which was just lucky, I think. But he was like, let me talk to you, which they never do. He called me and he turns out he helps businesses on the side. So then we hired him to be a consultant for us for that first 8 weeks. And he helped us get everything off the ground, which was huge. And we wouldn't have been able to do it without him. So we were, seeking the help that we needed to be able to execute as quickly as we could. And it worked. And it's wonderful. And actually we're getting ready to go film more. And we've gotten some feedback on what would be great. We've got a mascot now, which we didn't have before. So we have Tippi the turtle. So yeah, we're so excited about it. And then also our kids are going to be a part of the videos. We didn't have kids dancing with us because again, we were doing this on 48-hour notice. And we didn't have our kids, we just weren't thinking about having them come, but we're going to have our kids on camera also to help us and maybe a couple other dancers to help make it more engaging. So, it was crazy, but like I said, we just did the next most important thing and kind of didn't worry so much about, we had no idea how it would all land, and we couldn't worry about that.
Right. I like I like how even in an uncertain time, right, in a crazy uncertain period, all of these things were happening at once. It's easy to just, be like, oh my God, the sky is falling, and then just,
Yeah.
Kind of bury your head. But you took quick, decisive action, and you didn't let that, weigh you down. I mean, it weighed us down to a certain extent, but you kept moving forward. And I think that is a great lesson for folks to take away, is that, yeah, you may get hit with a pandemic, but just keep going. Like, don't stop.
Yeah.
Figure out just the next tiny step, and you'll push through it.
And
So
you know
that's
what?
fantastic.
You know what helped us with that, Chandra, was serving. We knew we needed to serve other people. So I was talking to my sister. I'm like, it's funny, the first month of the pandemic, I wasn't even aware. I wasn't even in the pandemic. I was so worried about getting this out there and serving people and helping people. Like the serving other people, like when you're giving to other people, you're not worried about yourself. You're
That's
worried
true.
about how you're serving them. And so I felt like that honestly was a gift, because I wasn't even thinking about the pandemic. I was just thinking about how I'm going to serve the franchise owners, how we're going to serve our teachers, how we're going to serve the schools and the customers. That was our only focus, and that helped get us through it.
Yeah. I think having a servant mindset is ultimately what keeps businesses in for the long haul, right? And when businesses forget like why they're in business, who they're serving, that's when things kind of get to a little rough.
I agree. I totally agree with that.
So switching gears a little bit, for our audience, Megan and I met on LinkedIn, and she has one of the coolest taglines, and she was actually a guest on Shark Tank.
Yes. I was. That was fun.
Yeah. So can you talk to us a little bit about that? I mean, there are a lot of mompreneurs, ultimately would like to get to that point where they're looking for capital infusion. So, the audience would love to know how that process goes.
Yeah. Well, it was such a fun experience. I'm so grateful I got to do it with my sister, my business partner, because it just made it way more fun. But what's funny is we didn't submit for it. My brother-in-law did, my sister's husband. So I think Sarah got like a call that was like, we'd like to go to the second, or we'd like to, we'd like to ask you to answer these questions for the application. And Sarah was like, what are you talking about? What, like, I guess Shark Tank wants us. And Adam was like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, I submitted you guys to be on it. We're like, okay, good to know. But so it was really interesting. We were second season, so we were very early on. At the time, honestly, it was like, we had this idea. So at this point we had 7 franchises, and we still wanted to do this TV show. We still wanted to get, our dances and our characters on DVDs, because we know what what our class is. We know how kids resonate. We see it. We see how families resonate. We know that we just need more people that see it, because it's so fun and positive and kids have so much fun with it. We just want to get out to more people. So we thought this would be a great way to do that. So it's interesting. We get in front of the sharks. First of all, you prepare, we prepared for a couple months. We were very careful to be very prepared, because we did not want to get ripped to shreds. Yes. That's basically all we just don't get ripped to shreds. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, getting a deal would be super, but just don't get ripped to shreds. That's kind of the goal. So we prepared, we studied the sharks. We knew about their families. We knew about their businesses. We knew what they liked. We knew what they didn't like. We knew who, we did our homework. And so we knew our numbers, of course, as every entrepreneur should. And we got in there, and then the camera's on and your brain goes to mush and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing right now. But we had a great time, and we got great reaction in general from the sharks. And on camera, we had Mr. Wonderful made us a terrible offer, but he threw us a bone, but it was like terrible. And then on camera, Mark Cuban made a deal, or we made a deal, and it was great, and it was so exciting, and it was really fun, and it was they wanted us to just franchise. That was what all anybody cared about was getting to. They just wanted us to focus on franchising, and after our show got bumped up, we were supposed to be later in the season, but our show got bumped up. At the time we aired, we hadn't signed paperwork yet. And there were things in the contract that made us feel pretty uncomfortable. Things like we could never do anything else other than franchising. We could never do any other things. And for entrepreneurs, that's like cutting my legs off. Like, I don't really want to do that. And there were some other things. And during the negotiation, it just wasn't something that we felt comfortable with. And so we said no. We walked away from the deal after the fact, just because it wasn't going to be the right fit for us. But we have nothing but love for the experience. It was really fun. It was a great way to meet other entrepreneurs. I mean, that's not the way you have to meet entrepreneurs, but it was fun to meet the other people that were on the show. And it was a good learning lesson too, of how, when you're going to go meet people, and, everybody was talking so much about themselves, and it was a good eye-opening experience. Like, I would encourage people to talk less and listen more. And that's when you can really learn. And we did that. So it was a positive experience. We get rerun on CSNBC all the time. And it was a great time.
No, that takes a lot of courage to walk away from a deal too. Especially when, we can get a little starstruck. Mark Cuban, he's up there, and it takes a lot of courage to not be intimidated by that, and to stand by what your mission is for Tippi Toes. So
yeah, well, thank you. I think when you love what you do so much, and the idea of not being able to do it the way you want to, or to feel like you were gonna, it just didn't feel right. And it's like back to a mom knows, like, when you think somebody's like, I don't think you're feeling well, and then the next day, sure enough, they wake up with a fever. It's like those instincts are there, and it's there for business owners too. So you got to honor those instincts.
Right. And I love how during our discussion now, that during pivotal points of your business, that your husbands have been with you through it all. Mm-hmm. So can you talk to us about the level of support that you've been able to have from your husband, and how that's played into the success for Tippi Toes?
I mean, it's huge. It is totally huge. Sarah and I both are madly in love with our husbands. Our husbands are very supportive. They have been from the start. Chris is my husband, and he is the greatest. He believes in me so much. We had a conversation in college. I remember when we met, and I was like, so I want to do this forever. Like, this is going to be the deal. I don't know, at this point I'm like, I don't know what kind of career it will be, but this is what I want to do. And from the start, he was like, I'm in, I believe in it. I see it. I appreciate it. And so he's always been supportive. He's in baseball. He's currently a baseball scout, but he used to coach at the University of Cincinnati for a little bit. And when he was there, I got the people there to allow us to come in, and we danced at the baseball game in the middle of, I don't know, at the end of the game or the beginning of the game or whatever. They've just always been proud, and they've been supportive. And and during this pandemic, my work has been crazy, and he's been super supportive, and his work has been slower. And so he's done so much. I would never be able to do what I do without a supportive husband. For me, it's everything. It's fun too. It's fun to have somebody that believes in you, but it is a secret power. It's something that I know not everybody has, and I'm extremely grateful for it. Now, I also think that great girlfriends and great moms and aunts, and there are people out there that can support you, but having somebody in your life that really believes in you and supports you is fantastic. And I've just been lucky to be married to my biggest supporter, and he believes in it. It's not just like, good for you, honey. He's like, this is awesome. And it's exciting. It's fun.
Right. And you know what, to touch on a sensitive topic for a lot of mompreneurs, he's not intimidated by it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, he loves it. I mean, no, not at all. I think, right. And I also, though, this is who I've always been. Like, I'm a smart aleck, and I'm competitive, and he knew what he was getting into. This is it. And so I think he likes the tenacity. We have 3 daughters, and he hopes that his girls have, the drive and the passion and want to, but I agree, I'm sure that there would be maybe people that feel that way, but I just think, gosh, there's nothing more than wonderful than knowing that your person is fulfilled and is happy. And I love my work, and he knows it. We talk about it a lot because honestly, there is some guilt sometimes, because we also had a conversation that I said, I want to raise the kids. I want to be at home. I'm not going to go off to work. I want to be at home, which meant I was saying I wanted this life, which is also why I think I can't complain about it. Like, this is what I signed up for. I want this. I love it. It's hard. It's the hardest job in the world. It's much easier to go into an office and be either working or not working. That is easier. I will argue that point to the day I die, because I'm constantly doing two things at once. But this is what I signed up for, and I'm happy with it. And I think you have to take ownership over the position that you're in, because you got there somehow. And so I have a supportive husband who's allowed me to do that. And he really does. It's not at all threatening. And also I support him in everything that he does. And, you know, I, in his work, and, you know, we've moved around for his job. He travels seasonally a lot, and he's got nothing but support from me. So it's a two-way road, and it needs to go both ways always.
Yeah. Megan, we're at the 30-minute mark. It has been a pleasure talking to you. But before we let the audience go, is there anything you want to leave our mompreneurs out there with to take with them as they either start or continue to grow their business?
Yeah, just go for it. Take action. I mean, you know, everybody's got ideas. Ideas mean zero if you don't do anything. So believe in yourself. And I also love to say to women, especially, like, your path makes you amazing, and it makes you like nobody else. So don't go and try to be something you're not. I'm on a show. I knew people would see me, but this is how my hair is most of the time. This is it. I'm in a tank top. This is how, you know, like, just be who you are, because it's so much easier. And you know, there will be people that will relate to it and feel like, okay, good. So I always, you know, take action, do it. Just take a step, and don't feel like you have to take a huge leap. Take a little one. Just get in the habit of taking steps, moving forward, moving ahead. That's the key. And then be true to who you are, because that's secret sauce right there.
Yeah. Megan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed this conversation. It's been amazing. So many key takeaway points from it. And for those that are tuning in, I hope you guys gleaned a ton of information from Megan. And I'll see you guys next nap time. Take care.